Hi, I'm going to work on the board account APT. We'll go through a few ideas, maybe give some hints. Let me just remind you what the board account APT looks like. We have to write a function winners. It has a list of strings as a parameter. And if we read through it very carefully, which I urge you to do because I'm just going to give you the synopsis, this is an alternate way of counting votes. And there are several different strategies for vote counting. This is one of them. In this way, each person casts a ballot with the same number of names in it. And here, Mo will get 3 votes, Curly will get 2 votes, and Larry will get 1 vote. In general, as it says here, the number n, which is the number of candidates, is the number of votes that the first person on the ballot gets. So in this example, there are 2 people on the ballot. Chris gets 2 votes in this ballot, and Sam gets 1. Here, Sam gets 2, and Chris gets 1. Just as a reminder, if there are 6 people named on each ballot, and the same number will be named on each ballot, the first person gets 6, the next 5, the next 4, the next 3, and the last person on the ballot gets 1. And this function that you write, winners, has to return the name of the person who got the most votes. And as it says here, if there are multiple candidates with that same number of maximal votes, we need to get a list of all of them, and it should be sorted alphabetically by name. We'll just use Python's sorted function to make that happen. And remember the 7-step process. The first thing you have to be able to do is solve a problem by hand. So I'm going to look at this example and make sure I can figure out how to do it. Mo gets 3, Curly gets 2, Larry gets 1. I'm going to have some way of keeping track of that. Then here Mo gets 3, he has 6, Larry gets 2, that's a total of 3, Curly gets 1, that's a total of 3. So I've got these 3 candidates with 6, 3, and 3. Now here Curly gets 3, so that's a total of 6. Mo gets 1 more, that's, 2 more, I forgot. That's 8. And Larry gets 1. And we can see that that's summarized here. That process that I was just outlining, if I had a piece of paper, I would write down each name. And each time I processed a ballot, I'd update the number of votes that each candidate gets in that ballot by changing what they had before. So if they had 10 before and now they get 3, they'd have 13. I would just keep track of that running total. And I know that's reminding me of some Python stuff, but I'm trying to be attentive to the 7 steps. And the first steps are just how to do it by hand. In the back of my mind, because I kind of merge these together sometimes, I'm also thinking, wow, this sounds to me like I'm going to need a dictionary where the keys are names and the values of each key is going to be the number of votes that person gets. So in the end, I'll have keys will be everybody named on some ballot, and the corresponding value will be the number of votes that person gets. So I'm ready to start writing the Python program. And I'm going to remind myself that the name of the file that it's stored in has to be bordacount.py. And I have to write a function winners ballot. Ballot's the parameter. And it's going to return a list. So I'm going to actually just copy paste that in. So I copied it. And now I'm going to paste it here. I kind of already had it, but I'm pasting it again. And I'm going to test this locally. Before I test it in the APT server, I'm going to test it here. So I'm going to run board account, and it just returns the empty list. You can see here I've got my list that I'm going to test it on. And I'm going to write the code. Now I know I'm going to need a dictionary. That's the idea I came up with. So I'm going to initialize the dictionary. Then I'm going to look back at the board account problem to remind myself that I've got these ballots, and each ballot is a single string naming a bunch of candidates. So I'm probably going to need to split that to get the name of each candidate. So I'm going to say for each in ballot, for each string in ballot, oh, and now I need to split that because I want to get the individual names. So I'm going to say split that to get each name. Now this is a list because I remember name types and values. Split returns a list. So I'm going to have to look at each name in that data. So for name in data, that's each candidate's name. I'm going to have to look up their value in the dictionary. But if they've never been seen before, and this is standard kind of with all dictionary code, if name is not in the dictionary, I'm going to associate no votes. Now name is in the dictionary. And that means I'm going to update it by saying the number of votes is going to increase by votes. Oh yeah, but I don't have votes. It even tells me with a red squiggle. How many votes does this candidate get? They get 3. But it's possible there could be a different number of candidates. Each ballot could contain 10 candidates. So that number of votes is the length of the list, the length of the number of names on each ballot. And I'm told in the problem that that length is always the same. So what happens? Vote starts at, say, 3, and then it's 2, and then it's 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. I know how to change that. Every time I process a name in the ballot, I'm going to decrement the value of votes by 1. So now I'm just going to print this dictionary for debugging purposes. So I have to do some more work, but I want to know that I do it right. So I'm going to run the program, and it says Mo has 8, Curly has 6, Larry has 4. This print debugging is typically a good idea. So I'm going to look to remind myself, Mo gets 8, Curly gets 6, Larry gets 4. And that looks exactly right. So I'm feeling pretty good because that print statement helped me debug it. Now I have to find who got the most votes. Well, here's a dictionary, and I know in a dictionary there are keys and items and values, and I want the maximum value. So I'm going to set a variable m to be the maximum of all the values. And whoever got that, that's the person whose name I want to return. So now I'm going to loop over each candidate in the dictionary, and if that person's votes is equal to the max, oh, I need a list to return. Sometimes I think of these things in advance. I'm going to return a list, and here I'm going to append this person's name to the list if they got the most votes. It's not M though, I gotta be careful. I'm appending their name. If the candidate in the dictionary, then I'm just going to return that list. I'm going to check it locally again. Mo, that is the winner. So I'm pretty excited. Now I should check one more because the server might be a bottleneck. So I'm going to just check, let's see, Chris Sam and Sam Chris. Let's see what happens if I do that one. So I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to set another one, copied and pasted that one, run it again. I got Chris and Sam. That's good. I got both names in there. And I got Chris and Sam, and I got Chris and Sam. So I'm kind of ready to check this out. Let's see what I need to do. I need to come here, check board account, choose the file bordacount.py, and run it. Oh, that's not bad, 5 out of 7. Now you can also see my debugging output is still there because the server will print that. Now let's see. Expected Bo Bub Cub Dub Joe Mo Tam Tim Tom, but got Tim Tam Tombo Joe Mo. Oh yeah, like this one. Expected Jim Slim and Tam, and I got Slim Jim and Tam. I forgot. This is supposed to be in sorted order. So I've got one small step to do before I'm all green, but you're going to have to figure that out. I'm going to have to make this sorted. That's kind of one addition, and then it's going to be all green. Enjoy board account, and I'll see you soon.